Don't mind me. Just playing some football manager. Well, you know, just clicking around. We've got this guy right here, moderate determination, right? We got this guy right here, moderate determination, right? But when you're really paying attention, you'll notice it's somebody like this. Now, these boys are selling like hotcakes. It's unbelievable. We can't even keep them on the lot. It's the best thing since sliced bread. Can I get a zoom in on that? Look at that determination, right? Unbelievable. Hello, this is not bait. At the end of this video, you're going to understand that determination is not only less important for player development than you thought, it is also less important for actions on the field. The focus being on player development today, but this has been a video idea I've been working on for a long time. Fortunately, we're now able to execute it because I'm working with Macaco, which for the second time, he's a data student in Portugal who has teamed up with me to actually analyze the data in a way that is far too complicated even for this five-finger forehead to comprehend. That was, count them, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I hide a lot of it under the hair. You understand. Now, something that's more important than determination is I'm starting a new history podcast, and this could be completely irrelevant to you, but it could also be relevant to you because I talk a lot about random history stuff on stream. We're turning it into about 20-minute or so podcast that comes out whenever I have the time to put together the research on your favorite historical topics, explaining it in a way that is not... Right, that's the idea. I love history, and I love telling you the crazy, weird stories from history in a way that's interesting. So you can check that out. Link is down in the description with a sneak peek at the end of this video. Oh, yeah. Also, I just said Macaco before as his name because that's what I said in the last video. It's Macaco. That's my bad. Dude's very smart, though. And what he's done is actually run a series of beautifully color-coded tests that are able to answer a lot of the questions that you might have had about things like professionalism and even sportsmanship and how this sort of stuff affects player development over time. And he hasn't just run the test and done the numbers. I was handed sheets like this, which honestly, the first time you see something like this, you go, God, school, run! We sat down over a weekend and he tried to explain to me, which is essentially like trying to explain to a fifth grader what in God's green earth all of this means and correlation and R squared and models, predictive models at different ages for how much something affects the ability to reach potential ability. And yeah, there were three main focuses for these experiments. We're going to get into them in a second. There'll be ambition, professionalism, and determination. And the one huge takeaway for me is that determination, you know, that attribute that we're fawning over on Artur Hovsepian and saying, wow, how could he not develop with an attribute like determination? Well, he could totally not develop even if he has an attribute like determination, because guess who the winner was? Well, I'm not going to tell you right now. First, we have to clear the fact that determination is not as important on the field, which we've already learned. We've run some separate tests, and those are from Football Manager 20. We're working on tests for Football Manager 21, where determination in an attributes test consistently finish near the bottom, where rather benign attributes like work rate, which I didn't look at in a particularly favorable light before those tests, finished super high. So what we figured after doing those tests last year, attributes don't change a ton from year to year, but we are running those tests again, is that determination must be hugely important off the field. It's got to be huge for development. And while 9 tests have been done, I'm going to show you 3 of the tests to illustrate my point from Macaco. And this starts with test number 2. Not only is this just a beautiful bit of organization, here's how it works. For test number 2, there are 17 players on 4 different clubs. Now, each of these players has all of their hidden attributes set to 10, except for one player that has one hidden attribute set to 20 or 1. And then there is also another dude who is 10 at everything. That's the control group. There's going to be 2 different simulations, and the player that has like high professionalism and low professionalism is going to be a different position than the time before. Making things as even as possible, the top 4 clubs in Portugal were leveled out. So you had Porto, Sporting, Benfica, and Braga that are the 4 hosts of these players as they develop throughout their career. And every 3 years, we get a data point on where they are. We've got everything from your high professionalism, low professionalism, here's determination, and then you even have temperament and sportsmanship, just in case those had a different way of affecting somebody who starts the game with no ability to get hurt, like they simply cannot get hurt, and they have 200 potential abilities. So how quickly do they reach it? How long do they stay there? Those are the questions that this question test. It's a test. Those are the questions that this test can answer. And there are a few key takeaways from the way that this progressed. First, the first person to actually reach their potential in these two tests was professionalism. Yes, professionalism reached that 200 potential first. I'm talking about the person with 20 professionalism and 10 everything else. And there was only mild development in the other two hidden attributes, the ambition and the determination, which are being closely watched and which are kind of monitored in this table. The development of those two attributes actually halts essentially completely at the age of 22. The development of determination and the development of ambition just barely changed. As you can see all the way down the table when you're looking at green and blue, there's just no change between the column of 22 and 25 in any significant way. The one thing that did change as we progressed, and not only was on average the high professionalism the first to reach its potential, and the low professionalism the one that was literally the worst out of all of them, professionalism was gained steadily over time, which means if you have a 37-year-old in the game, you see the amount of professionalism. Even the dude that started at 1 professionalism got to 10 professionalism by the time he was 34. And we see a lot of these people that started at 10, like a low loyalty for some reason, right, has progressed to a 20 professionalism at the end when they started at 10. The next one to actually reach potential was determination, but this was not at a shocking speed, because in this next 3 years, low controversy reached 200 potential. You had ambition and high sportsmanship reach right next to 200 potential, which was an aggregate 199 in potential. You had low sportsmanship, got to 198, right? We had low loyalty, get to 199. These are things that don't have a whole lot to do with development in the traditional way of thinking, but they were able to get into the realm of determination almost immediately. But there was an indication that low determination could matter. So when I say determination doesn't matter, the difference between 20 and 10 seems to be a lot less in player development than the difference between 10 and 1, because starting on 1 determination kind of rocked your world, because determination stops getting better in a meaningful way at 22, 23 years of age. And when that happens, we see a clear evidence of 167 on aggregate. It's better than professionalism having low determination, but it's still much worse than everything else, which means ambition kind of sucks and doesn't matter. The last thing that was clear from test 2 is that not only is professionalism like key, but the biggest contributing factor by far to the ability to sustain your career is professionalism. Nothing else contributed nearly as significantly to the ability to maintain your current ability than professionalism. Determination did not hold a huge sway there. It deteriorated. And outside of all of that, throughout all of these tests, determination shows a much more volatile nature, which means obviously you can change it upward faster, but professionalism is always trending upward. There's no indication of professionalism ever going down. In any of these examples, it's always going up, and it doesn't go down easily at all. In our 20 professionalism person, it went down 1 and then went back up. You're good. Where our determination actually went down 3 in the first 3 years of their career, and then able to make it stick. This is a perfect world where people couldn't get hurt. So we were looking for kind of a different sampling with test 3, which is where everything was set to 10. This included like injury proneness. The idea for this experiment came out of the fact that actually everybody reached their 200 potential. So which attributes are actually going to affect handling adversity? And there was also this phenomenon where, because the dude had good sportsmanship, like the peak sportsmanship guy in the experiment number 2 ended up winning all the awards because everybody loved him. So we kind of wanted to get rid of that sort of thing. This brings us to the takeaways from this experiment with injuries, which when we look at this table is color coded by injuries. So there were no injuries for over a year, 9 to 12 months, 6 to 9 months, 3 to 6 months, and then no significant injuries throughout that 3-year stretch. We had some pretty startling discoveries. Number one of which, something that I've extolled as a virtue of player development, ambition, has actually no positive correlation on your success. Low ambition in this test does really well. There is absolutely no, and I have a quant now. Macaco and I are a team. He's the quant. I'm the dude that attempts to explain it. No statistical correlation at all between ambition and like reaching your potential and success and selling for a lot of money. Another interesting note is that in one of the two simulations, Mr. Low Determination sold for 234 million, despite the fact that he was getting hurt all the time. So the extreme of low determination was challenged because he still succeeded. Low professionalism and high professionalism were still in both ends, on the low and the high side, the extremes of the entire experiment, and by far the most important thing. But we found determination's virtue. One, determination does have a correlation between development. The higher the determination, the better a player develops. It's just not as nearly severe as professionalism. But where determination makes actually a better impact than any other attribute is the ability to overcome this adversity that's introduced in Experiment 4. When you get injured, the determination helps you overcome that. And that's the real measurable takeaway that we were able to get from this. That and the fact that low pressure guy like never played. So if you started with one pressure, actually just never really played, never got around to developing because he's weak-kneed. He wets himself in the middle of games. So determination doesn't suck after these first two experiments. It's pretty good, but it's increased volatility and lack of impact on the low end, especially when we were running into these more and more simulations and seeing the low determination players still manage to flourish despite injuries that determination actually helps you overcome. Then professionalism is just far and away the best thing. On the ambition note, ambition actually could be a negative, which is what it might sound like initially. Not only is there no correlation between ambition and being a better player, ambition also means that you want a bigger contract and you want to move to bigger clubs. So it's like almost a net detriment at this point. This brings us to test 4, where we jacked the injury proneness all the way up just to see if it made a difference. Side note finding, the amount and severity of injuries didn't change dramatically between 10 injury proneness and 20 injury proneness, which was nice. And this is where the findings just kept getting more stark. There was one. High professionalism's the only one that actually reached the potential at 200, and determination, despite the statistical evidence that it helps you overcome injury, was not good enough at development and stalled out late in the career at 198 after getting through 3 years of no injury. But at the point that professionalism reached 200, high determination was at 179 with no significant injury in that 3-year stretch. And low determination ended up reaching all the way up to 187, while low professionalism stalled at 125 on the aggregate, showing far and away that professionalism is the most important. And you might have already known that coming into this video, but the variance between the low and high determination, even on high injury where it was supposed to perform the best, was not even close to touching professionalism, and not the sort of thing that could totally affect your willingness to sign somebody. The conclusion that Macaco had is it's hard to tell whether with injuries determination became more important and professionalism became less important with injuries, but considering the game gives you sentences like determined to overcome their injury, the evidence would suggest that determination does help you overcome injuries. The professionalism is by far the best, and that the third attribute that we were really looking at in these tests, ambition, which was the third rumored to help development, doesn't. In fact, in the high injury proneness test, which this falls within the range of variability of these tests being done by Macaco, the low ambition was actually slightly better than high ambition at player development in the high injury test. And again, that was within the range of variance, but we didn't see that out of professionalism anywhere close, or determination got a little close once or twice, but not all the way. So when it comes to player development, what should you take away from this? There is professionalism all the way up here. I mean, on the top of Mount Everest. And then we go all the way down to the base camp, like all the way down the mountain, and we find determination, which of course is the most variable by far out of all of these in your early years up until you're 23, 24 years of age. And then it doesn't really change that much, but super variable up to that point and very open to change, which means if you sign a low determination guy, get him to the middle, you've got nothing to worry about at all through mentoring, by the way. And then you go from there to Hades. I mean, like Hades. And that's where ambition is, doing absolutely nothing for you. And low pressure is swimming around down there somewhere. And sportsmanship is walking around on Mount Everest because high sportsmanship players win all of the awards. At least when there's no injury proneness to overcome, so you can just shoot to your 200 potential at speed. Sportsmanship then helps you get recognition. So if your player's not getting recognition, that's because no one likes them. I'm sorry. We are continuing tests, and we have run some that we're already making into videos. We're running multiple simulations to reduce the variance, of course, as Macaco is obviously a very skilled person at this, writing these reports literally for school. So Zealand encourages scholastic scholarship. So there's a lot more to look forward to. If you want us to test something in particular, please put it down in the description. We could also link these test tables to you. I'm going to have Macaco make up some sort of interactable document that you would be able to go after. And we are close to having developed something that you can enter in all you know about a player and immediately get back the potential ranges and all hidden attributes that you know about. Like some sort of app, an application. Sorry, Boomer Zealand here. I'm looking for an application for my friend. Seriously, though, we're developing something you can go plug all that stuff into, so I'll let you know when that is out. You can figure out when that comes out in the Discord, on Twitch, on Twitter, on my Finstagram. No, that's not relevant at all. I'll see you guys on stream soon. Looking forward to more of these tests. So what makes a person stand and fight in this situation when all logic dictates that you should be doing literally anything else? Well, that's what we're going to explore today. This is the inaugural episode of Armchair History, and it's titled, This is Sparta.